What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Final Whistle. I'm Dan here. I'm joined alongside my guy, Nathan Osler. And Nate, week 15 recap.
Yep.
Week 15, in my opinion, boring week of football. Boring
Listen,
week of football. Didn't love it this week. Wanted to see a bit more out of these games. I think it was just a bad slate in general.
it all started with the 12-6 game on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean,
It
that
ended
was
with 15-9 last
that
night.
was sickening. I mean,
was
12-6, dude. Come on. I mean,
There were listen,
I saw Coach Gruden said that Thursday night football needs to just straight up be abolished. I don't hate that take. He said the guys
I agree.
You're not getting enough time to, practice. And he said teams just aren't as sharp as they are. He said Monday night football is obviously different because you're getting, an extra day almost. So those games are usually going to be better, but he's anti Thursday night football. I don't think that's crazy.
I agree with
because,
them.
When's the last time we've had a banger of a Thursday night football game? And also, I think that what needs to happen with these primetime games, we need to be able to just flex them whenever the hell they want. You know what I mean? No one in their right mind wanted to watch Raiders Falcons at 8:30 at night. Why are we doing these horrible primetime games? I get that every team has to have a primetime game or two or whatever. But at this point in the season, we got to start flexing games out.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to see Kirk Cousins versus Desmond Ridder. Come on, bro. It's horrible. Even the Vikings-Bears game wasn't great.
Mm-hmm. I'll just say this. I like what you said. I'm glad you brought up Gruden. He's the best thing Barstool's ever added.
Yeah,
Since Frank the Tank, John Gruden is like the number one for Barstool right now, easily. Love his shows he's been doing. But this week, there were only a few good games that are probably worth talking about. So today we're going to cover a few games that stuck out to us. We'll probably spend a majority of time with good old Pittsburgh Steelers, Detroit Lions, that type of stuff. Nevin just brought up Jersey Jerry too. He kind of carries Barstool as well.
Yeah.
But then we're going to talk playoff race. There's some little bit of interesting things going on in the NFC, I think, especially around the Rams, Seahawks, and Commanders right now. The AFC playoff race is starting to take shape. Probably talk some Heisman, college football playoff, talk about each of the games maybe, even though we already gave our predictions. But there are only a few games this week, and I completely agree with you. I agree with the Thursday night football take. Gladly. I think we talked about that a couple weeks ago, about how Thursday night football just hasn't lived up to the hype. It feels so weird on Amazon Prime, too.
Yeah,
it's honest.
The announcers aren't good. The graphics are weird. It's it's not like it doesn't hit the same.
I mean, if your local team's playing, I know KDK or whatever, they'll have it on TV because that's what they're doing for Netflix. If you don't have Netflix, it's going to be on Channel 2 if you're in Pittsburgh. That's what they did for Thursday Night Football. I think it was on NBC that day. But looking at this week, the only good games that stuck out to me were Commanders, Saints. That was saved at the end. And I was watching the highlights. I was like, oh, Saints almost did that. They almost screwed over the Commanders towards the end. Ravens, Giants was not good. Cowboys, Panthers, not good. The 1 week I picked the Panthers to win, that happened. Jets, Jaguars, surprisingly, was pretty decent of a football game, but we don't even need to talk about that one. Texans, Dolphins, not really good. Broncos, Colts looked like it was going to be good. It turned into a blowout. Bills, Lions, Steelers, Eagles, and those were our 2 games of the week, and the only really good one was Bills, Lions. And you know what? Do we just want to start with Bills, Lions? I guess the elephant in the room is David Montgomery's out for the season.
Montgomery out for the year. Yeah. I think he tore or sprained his MCL. He's got to get season-ending surgery. I think you could argue that is one of the biggest blows this team could take is Monty. Maybe even over Jahmyr Gibbs. This guy is your workhorse. He is a dog day in and day out. It's going to be interesting how this team pans out without David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. We're going to have to see Detroit just use Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm sure they'll find someone that is going to pick up Montgomery's slack per se, but I don't think he'll do as good as a job. I think that the Lions have always found a guy that is not that good and kind of make him good. I mean, I'm not saying David Montgomery is not good, but I mean, he wasn't that good in Chicago. And then you look at Jamal Williams 2 years ago, who was on his way out and then had a resurgence in Detroit just because of his red zone carries. I think I could easily see that again if they brought another back, but I think that the connection between Montgomery and Gibbs was really special. So it's a big blow for the Lions, I think, in the locker room, just because of how well their chemistry was in that whole team. It's going to be interesting, and I wouldn't feel comfortable taking the Lions against a good team again until I see what the running game looks like. Now, I wouldn't be comfortable. I think last week I'd be comfortable with them against any team. Not now.
See, here's where I think I'll disagree with you on this. I know Nevin said about William Jaw in the comments bring this up. He thinks they're going to be fine. I'll say this. I don't think the Lions should be worried at all. I think David Montgomery is a big blow to lose, especially like you said. I agree with the locker room perspective. They're like BFFs. They're working well together. They call them Sonic and Knuckles for a reason. They're just a tag team practically. But I look at how they won. They lost, I guess. How they lost to the Bills. I'm so used to the Lions winning lately, but now they lost. But Jared Goff had the game of his life, even in the loss. It's like that one game I think Josh Allen had a while ago against the Rams, literally last week, when he had like 6 total touchdowns. They still lost. Jared Goff, 494 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, including a pass to the big man, Dan Skipper. I am not worried about the Lions at all because I know they can be relying on their rush. Their leading rusher against the Bills only had 31 yards, and that was Jahmyr Gibbs. They did not use the run. He had the touchdown. Amon-Ra, 193 yards. Sam Laporta, 111 yards. Jamison Williams put up 37. I mean, they have a solid offense to be able to miss out on a David Montgomery. But I think losing David Montgomery, who is probably having the best season of his career, many could say, I think it's going to be a blow to them. But I don't think they're going to treat it like, I'll say this. I don't think people should treat it as, they're toast. They're going to be a risk to lose. Because I've been seeing those takes online. People think they're going to be a risk to lose in the first round or the first game because they lost David Montgomery. I don't agree with that because look at what else they have. Jared Goff is playing at a really good level this year. That extension's looking really good. Amon-Ra has been heating up. He almost put up a 200-yard game. Sam Laporta has been heating up. And we talked at the beginning of the season about the tight end play in the NFL has been kind of lackluster. Sam Laporta has been heating up. I'll say this at the perfect time. The Lions are still 12-2. They're going to be fighting with the Philadelphia Eagles for that number 1 seed. Whoever gets it is in a better spot, I will say, because of how good the wild card is right now for the NFC, especially with the Packers and the Vikings, I think exceeding a lot, especially the Vikings, exceeding a lot of expectations this year. But I don't think you're in panic mode if you're the Lions. You lost to a really good Bills team who many have as a Super Bowl caliber team. I know you've talked about it. We've both talked about it this year going through the season on this show saying like, the Buffalo Bills, this team's legit. Their worst loss was to the Baltimore Ravens at the way beginning of the year. That was not the Bills team we've been seeing ever since. This Bills team looks like a powerhouse. This Bills team took out the Chiefs and the Lions, 2 Super Bowl candidates. I know the Chiefs aren't really the Chiefs this year, but I mean, to say it, they're still the Kansas City Chiefs. They're still going to be a threat to make the Super Bowl. This might be one of the most weakest Chiefs teams we've seen in a while. But this Lions team is a different breed than those Chiefs, I will say. This Lions team has been more fun to watch. And this Bills team, they took out both of them. They took out 2 Super Bowl legitimate teams. And this Bills, I'll just say it before I throw back to you, this Bills team is going to be a threat for a while. And you know what? I saw this take, and I want to see if you agree with this. If the Bills have Josh Allen, and this goes back, and we can talk about the MVP race in a little bit too, because we want to talk about some awards predictions. If the Bills have Josh Allen, if they don't have Josh Allen, are they this good?
Hell no.
And that's what I was seeing people saying he doesn't deserve the MVP. I think Josh Allen is an MVP candidate over Lamar Jackson.
He is the MVP easily.
He has to be.
I saw something absurd on Instagram yesterday, and it was the Ravens tweeted out that it was one of Lamar's stats and said, the first time this has ever been done by a quarterback in NFL history. And then someone responded to it and said that Josh Allen did this in January 15th, 2 years ago.
That's great.
Like the Twitter fact checker thing.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yes. But then I I saw people saying, "Why is Josh Allen the MVP?" Lamar just did those same things against, But then I was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, "Yeah, you're right. He did." And I thought about it, and I said, "Well, Josh Allen did that against the best team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson did that against the New York Giants, and still didn't even put up as much points as the Bills did."
They also we'll see with the MVP too. They're looking at like it's not just stats. I don't think it's like your record too.
It
How's your
has to
team
be,
look?
yeah. It's
The
got to be.
Bills are right now, even though they're second place in the AFC, I think they're better than the Chiefs. They already beat the Chiefs, and Allen has the best QBR in the NFL. He has a
Yeah, he's
79.3
nuts.
QBR,
He's a stud.
25 touchdowns to 5 picks. He's put up some great games this year. I think Josh Allen is due for an MVP. I think he's always in MVP talks and never has done it because his I guess people like to joke his big brother Patrick Mahomes, who always beats him, wins the MVP. Lamar Jackson's already won 2 MVPs, I think, in the top of my head. Josh Allen needs to get one. We can talk about this in a bit, but I'm moving on to the Bills side of things compared to what talking about the Lions. This Bills team looks nasty. Let me just say that. I think this is a favorite to win the AFC. I don't think anyone wants to play the Bills right now, not even the Chiefs. I don't think they
It's
want a
crazy.
rematch.
Remember in the beginning of the year when half their Pro Bowl team left?
Yeah,
And
all their
everyone was like,
defense.
dude, the Bills are cooked. Like, they had like 6 Pro Bowlers leave. They had Stephon Diggs leave, and everyone was like, well, who the hell is Josh Allen going to throw to? This is the best Bills team I think we've ever seen. I think this is better than the, other teams we've seen in Buffalo with Diggs and with, all their other studs that they had. This Bills team is damn good. It is damn good. And I think it's just Josh Allen doesn't feel that he has to throw to Stephon Diggs. I think that, with a bunch of these, I mean, just not rum-dum guys, but, a little above average receivers like, Shakur and, Keon Coleman, and now you got Amari Cooper, like a bunch of guys who you don't need the rock. They don't expect the rock every game, which is really good. So Josh Allen can just find who's open, not, okay, well, Diggs just came over to me on the sideline, grabbed me by the collar and told me if I don't throw him the ball, all this. I mean, that is what makes a good football team is, that type of communication. And I think that's what's honestly making the Bills succeed is, it's no one on offense is playing hero ball except for the only guy who needs to play hero ball in Josh Allen, to where he can step back in the pocket, look, okay, no one's open, I can take off. And when I take off and I get a first down, I don't have anyone coming up to me going, dude, I was open, bro. I was open. Like, I think that might be why the Bills are succeeding this year, honestly.
I completely agree. And I was going to say it as you were saying about how I think the Bills are succeeding because compared to other teams, there's other teams in this situation as well, but like they don't have a superstar at wide receiver being like, give me the ball, please. They didn't have an Eagles, AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts situation. They don't have this situation, Stephon Diggs. They don't even have like a Pickens situation in Pittsburgh, even though it's not really that big of a deal, but people make it as big as deal it has to be, of course.
They don't have any divas,
But like the Bills are making it worth with like a guy like Ty Johnson last night. 114 yards. Keon Coleman, 64. Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox are a great tight end duo. And then you got like a guy in Khalil Shakir. Amari Cooper, I think, is hurt right now. But like that was a great trade. And Amari Cooper is not a superstar wide receiver. He is not on the levels of I think when we did our tier list, he was like A or B. Like he's up there, but he's not like that superstar. He's not on Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson levels. He's in a league of his own because Amari Cooper brings his own skill set. And I think it's such a better fit for the Buffalo Bills than he was with any other team he was on. The Cleveland Browns, I think the Chiefs in there as well, or I think the Dallas Cowboys it was. But he is such a better fit with Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills. Hopefully, I think he will be healthy by the playoffs. I haven't really read much about him since the trade happened because this Bills offense really uses everybody. It's kind of like a share the wealth type of thing. There's not really a single threat. And that's what I think teams are having a troubling time dealing with. I know the Rams beat them, but like they could have beat the LA Rams. They probably should have beat the LA Rams. The Rams are just peaking at the right time currently. But this Buffalo Bills team, something about them just screams they are really fun to watch. This would be a fun team to watch in the Super Bowl. And I really think this might be a hot take. And I saw a lot of people having this. This game we just watched, Bills-Lions, could be the Super Bowl. This could be a well-deserved rematch. I think it's on par. Sure. If my team, which they probably won't make it, but I guess if our favorite team can't make it, this is what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for the Bills Lions personally, because this was a great game to watch. I don't want to watch the Chiefs again. I don't think Lamar Jackson will make it, because we know playoff Lamar until I see otherwise. I don't think the Steelers make it. I don't think the Broncos or Chargers make it. The Bills, I think, are the best all-around AFC team. Their defense has allowed a lot of points, but at other times, they've looked decent. And also, they're playing good teams. They played Matthew Stafford last week, peaking at the right time. He's a good QB. They just played Jared Goff, who's been playing out of this world this year. And their offense has been resilient enough. Even though their defense is allowing a lot of points, I'll say this, they're a good all-around football team, in my opinion. So this is honestly a Super Bowl pick, a Super Bowl threat right now at this stage of the year. So, yeah, you got any more thoughts on the Bills before we move on?
Talking Super Bowl, I think the Bills get there, honestly. I think this is the year they get there. I think the Chiefs are banged up enough. Mahomes is injured, but he's fine. They literally just got notification that Mahomes is a full participant at practice, so he was just doing that for,
Well, I just got in breaking news in baseball world. Cody Bellinger is now a New York Yankee. Saw that one coming.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
He is on the move.
Crazy.
The Cubs are making moves. I just see all these Pirates fans saying, "Can we please fire Ben Cherington?" We weren't going to get Cody Bellinger. Can Pirates fans just shut up, please? It was never going to happen. But back to football. But yeah, Bills Mafia should be really excited. I think their fan base is going to look at the past. I think it was the 90s when they lost 4 straight Super Bowls.
Yeah.
And be like, this is the team that is going to get them that ring. This is the team that is going to break the curse. I think this is the team of destiny. We all joked that the Lions were America's team last year. I think they still are America's team because a lot of people should want to see Detroit succeed for once. Personally, never have hated Detroit sports. The only people that hate Detroit sports are probably Green Bay fans and Chicago and Minnesota. But the Bills are that AFC team besides my team that I want to see succeed just because they're fun. This is a fun team to watch. Love to see Josh Allen get that ring, that MVP, and prove that he is on the levels finally, because people still don't respect him enough as Mahomes, as Lamar, who doesn't even have a ring yet. Those are still people's top 2 quarterbacks, which I get it, because they have the rings, they have the MVPs, they have the pedigree. Josh Allen has been in the running for all of those things and has always came up short in the championship rounds, losing in the divisional rounds, losing out on MVPs. I think this is the team that the Bills have that can finally end all that pain and suffering. Yeah. Unless the Steelers get them. Let's move on to the Steelers because we gotta talk about this. Only if you got any closing thoughts.
I gotta pull something up here. So after the game, I was very fired up. Right, I decided that
we're talking Steelers Eagles.
Steelers Eagles.
Okay, that's fair.
So I decided here that I was going to.
And note, I did say I wouldn't be mad at this. I was very mad at, I called it. I was mad after it. Oh no.
Immediately after the game, I was like, I gotta film a video. So here's my reaction after the game hit 0-0. Emergency video. This is going on the pod. Game just finished. Worst ball I've ever seen? I don't know. Maybe. Just horrible. There's a lot of words I'd like to use right now that just I can't get out of my mouth. Firstly, because it would, it's just not healthy. I had to turn red zone on in that fourth quarter. Sickening, just sickening. We only got the ball 2 times the entire second half. I've never seen something like that where a team just chews the clock. And shout out Najee Harris. Maybe, just maybe, if you would have talked to me in the pizza shop at Slice on Broadway in Wexford, you wouldn't have fumbled. You wouldn't have cost us the game. Just a disgusting game from all ends. Russell Wilson, what are we doing that first quarter? I mean, just sickening. Defensively, I've never seen a team in my life not be able to stop so many hitch routes and curls. I mean, the seam, every time there was a third down, a hitch route to Devontae Smith, and then they push their asses into a first down. A sickening, just fully despicable play from the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're not winning a playoff game if we're going to play like that. The Eagles are good. They're not great. They almost lost to the Panthers last week. And now the Panthers would have beat us last week if they played like that and we played like this. Sickening. We're going to lose out. Yeah, we're going to lose out. That was just gross. Just a gross loss, man. I couldn't be more disgusted. I don't think this is the Tomlin thing, but I'm fired up, is what I am. Najee Harris, bum. I mean, I'm not kidding. It is unbelievably easy to catch a football.
It sounds like me.
Like that. It is unbelievably easy, and he dropped it. He fumbled. He's a bum. He didn't do anything during this game. He's horrible. Start Jalen Warren. Najee, get out of Pittsburgh. I hope we don't pick up your option. I honestly hope you're homeless. You're that bad. And the way you treated me, Najee, I want you kaput. Get out of my town. Get out of Pittsburgh. You're done. This is the emergency video. This has never been happened before. We've never had an emergency video be aired. This is the emergency video. Najee Harris, bum. The defense today, just flat out bums. Can't cover. I hope TJ Watt's okay. We don't know his status yet. I'm sure we'll probably know this, the next time that, when we air this. So I'm going to do a little thing. All right. Future Danny. What happened with TJ Watt?
He's good. He just tweaked his ankle.
Yeah. Wow. Didn't know that. Well, that's it for my rant. And back to live Danny and live Nathan.
Well, I like that. I like that future Danny.
That was the emergency video.
I like that.
It needed to.
Sounded like me.
Yeah.
Sounded like all the texts I sent.
That needed to happen. Season. Yeah. I think that summed up what I thought about the game. I mean, how hard is this, dude? You're on I'm Najee Harris, right? How hard is this?
Oh, boy, we got it.
Russ throws you the ball. And I'm out. I mean, it's this far away, man. Russ is going here. Boom. Ball. And
Arthur Smith pitch plays are on the same level as watching Matt Canada jet sweeps.
It makes me sick.
This is literally Matt Canada jet sweeps with Arthur Smith's pitch plays. I said it last week. We both picked them to lose. We both picked this. We're if you never watch us, we're Steelers fans. We're Steelers fans. We're going to show Steeler bias at this portion of the show, as always.
Have to.
We both picked the Steelers to lose, and I said I would be mad in the moment when they do lose. I was very mad. I was texting you. I was texting all my friends. But then after, the next day, I was like, we were going to lose. They didn't have George Pickens. They were missing probably their best guy in the secondary, Deshaun Elliott. The whole game, he was out. That was huge. Larry Ogunjobi, Big O, was out. He's been big this year for them. We had 3 big injuries, and I'm not using that as the scapegoat, but the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't won in Philly since the 60s, I think it was. It's been 50-plus years. But they lost. That Najee play was really the turning point because they were on a drive to tie it right up. They were driving down the field. That was the best the offense looked. And then they do the Arthur Smith special pitch play and And you know what? The defense was bad, but I have to blame the offense for that because you shouldn't have your defense out on the field. And my favorite graphic, I think I just sent you the text. It said 178 yards to 1 at one point in the first or second quarter. And then they averaged 0.1 yards a play by the second quarter, the Steelers offense. They had no, response for what Philly was able to do. They were lucky the beginning of the game. If you've ever watched a Steeler game, they have the most magical bullcrap things that happen. They had a Jalen Hurts fumble caused by TJ Watt, who, in my opinion, had a great game. Finally, he's woken up. He's been kind of quiet this season for the last couple weeks. But then the magical play that is how does this happen? Is Cooper DeJean fumbling the muffed punt. That only happens to the Pittsburgh Steelers and Kansas City Chiefs. I am so excited to watch that game on Christmas. It is going to be such a funny game. No one's going to know what's going to happen next. Both those teams have the greatest luck, and I can say that as a Steelers fan. I think we can all agree. It happens every single week. We saw the Washington Commanders guy muff 2 punts in one game. He hasn't done that all year. It's actually kind of crazy. But when I'm looking at what happened this game, it's on the offense, and I have a couple guys I want to bring up. I think I brought them all up to you. Najee Harris was one. He's probably a Cowboy next year. Cowboy or another team. 6 for 14 rushing-wise. His longest was 7. They just were not able to run the ball at all against the Eagles' line. They weren't able to. I don't know why they continued to try it. I really don't know why. You have to throw the ball in that situation. I understand. This was probably Russ's worst game. He didn't have a pick, but it was his worst game as a Steeler we've seen. 14 of 22, 128, 1 touchdown. He took 2 sacks. Surprisingly, they didn't sack him that much. The O-line, in my opinion, had a pretty solid game. It was one of the bright spots. They were protecting Russ. He took a really dumb sack at the end of the first half, I think it was. And then they didn't really protect Najee that much. But other than that, like, I think Najee dug the hole himself with some of those routes he was running. They didn't. Jaylen Warren was kind of a bright spot, but then they just magically stopped using him. I don't know why. He had a couple plays called back because of holdings, of course. And those are those big plays. I'm kind of tired of using Cordero Patterson. I'm sorry to all you CP guys. Like, I don't get why we're running him at all. They need to run Jaylen Warren more, in my opinion. So Najee Harris is reason number one they lost. Another guy I want to bring up is on the defense. I bring him up all the time. He's having a miserable season. Joey Porter Jr., and I'm sorry to say it. He has been very frustrating. I want to see him succeed. But there's one play that really sticks out to me. I don't know if you remember it, but it was the play where the Eagles, I think, ended up getting a touchdown, or they converted a 3rd and 6, and it led to a touchdown. I think it was the last touchdown of the game. Instead of getting down and dirty to make the tackle, he didn't. He went right by him. I forget who the receiver was. I think every Steelers fan can agree. He didn't want to get dirty at that point, it looked like. So Joey Porter Jr. needs to be a lot better, because I am at the stage where people are saying, oh, they need to draft a wide receiver. They need a wide receiver in the draft. I'd rather them draft a cornerback in the first round than sign a good wide receiver like a T. Higgins maybe. Who knows? That's probably the best receiver they can get. I think they should draft a corner, because I don't think Joey Porter Jr. is looking like a decent corner. He has the build. He has the build to maybe become, hopefully not, but he was looking like maybe what Cam Sutton became towards the end of his Steelers tenure. Bad. You know how many penalties did he have against Cincinnati? And everyone wants to use the excuse, oh, he's just physical. You can't just go grabbing people for no reason in the end zone to try to block them. He had the unnecessary call in the end zone where he didn't even need to tackle the guy on Cincinnati. It was a no-play scenario where they couldn't even get the ball to the receiver. He's like, nope, I got to get him. I got to touch him. I can't make him get a chance. It was a mile over the receiver's head. Why is Joey Porter Jr. doing that? I think he had 5 or 6 penalties that game against Cincinnati. I don't think he was I think he might have been penalized once against the Eagles. But it was just bad play overall by the secondary. Not to just go after Joey Porter Jr. Dante Jackson had a bad game. He gets hurt. He's their leader in interceptions. He looked awful, though, before the injury. They were, like you said, curl routes. They were in prevent defense almost since this entire game, and it wasn't working. And then who else? James Pierre comes in. I'm in this Discord chat with a bunch of Pirates fans. And there's like a Steelers section. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, Dante Jackson's out. We don't have to watch him anymore. And someone's in the chat said, so you really want James Pierre? And they were like, yes. First play Pierre allowed says, like, please bring Dante Jackson back. Please. Like, this secondary is depleted. And Minkah Fitzpatrick needs to learn how to make smart plays, because he's been missing some tackles too and reading wrong routes. And it's getting to the point where I know he's good. I know he's decent. And teams aren't testing him, giving him the ability to make an interception or a splash play. This defense desperately needs Minkah Fitzpatrick to make a splash play, a fumble, a pick. If a pick isn't going to go his way, hit a guy so hard to make him fumble the ball. You're making all this money. Give the fans or your teammates a splash play or something. TJ's making the splash plays. Highsmith is. We've seen Herbig make splash plays. The special teams has made more splash plays than Minkah Fitzpatrick has. And I'm not a Minkah hater. Don't get me wrong. I like him. But the Steelers desperately need to see more production out of Minkah Fitzpatrick. And people are going to say, oh, that's an odd take. That's a bad take, because Minkah Fitzpatrick is one of the statistically best Steelers defenders they've had on this team for a very long time, according to Pro Football Focus. I don't care about Pro Football Focus. I want to win football games.
I don't think anything's wrong with Minkah.
And I'm watching these football games, and he's missing routes. He's letting guys get around him. He's missing tackles half the time. I think they missed Deshaun Elliott greatly, because
we haven't been burnt on a deep ball this year.
Yeah, but when the
no one's getting behind Minkah. No one does.
That's fair, but I've seen so much miscommunication between him and Joey Porter Jr. this season on plays.
Joey Porter's a klutz. He's a klutz.
This take makes no sense, but if you're a Pitt fan, it'll make sense. I just want to get this off my chest, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of slack for this if people rewatch this. If Joey Porter Jr. went to University of Pittsburgh, he'd be getting as much hate as Kenny Pickett did. But since he went to Penn State, it's all fine. Since his dad was a Pittsburgh Steeler, it's all fine. But that's all I have on Joey Porter Jr. The Eagles are a good football team. I guess I don't really have much else to say about the Steelers. They make me mad. They're still 10-4. They clinched the playoff spot. They're in.
Yeah, I don't want to just talk about the Steelers here. That's cool. But
you don't have to wait till the end of the year.
What the Eagles did in this second half was literally something I have never seen in my life watching professional football. The way they chewed the clock sucked, but it was crazy. Their first drive, when they got the ball at halftime, a 7-minute drive. Okay?
Yep.
Steelers get the ball back. 4 plays. Najee Harris fumbles. Okay?
Yep.
Eagles get the ball right back. 6.5-minute drive. 13 plays. 74 yards they have to go. Now we're in the fourth quarter, okay? Steelers get the ball back. 7 plays. Tomlin punts on 4th and 2. Eagles get the ball at the 3-yard line, and then they got a penalty. A penalty brought them back, and they were pushed in their own end zone. 21 plays, 88 yards, 10.5 minutes.
Yep.
You cannot beat
almost a whole quarter.
You can't beat that. I'm not kidding.
It
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're the best team in the NFL playing the Panthers. If the Panthers can do that, you lose that game. That was crazy football because you got to think about it. The Eagles are a team in the NFL. I think the only 2 teams that do this in the NFL are the Eagles and the Lions, where if it is within 4th and 2, you're going to go for it, and you're going to get that first down every single time. I mean, if it's 4th and 1, you know what the Eagles are going to do. They're going to tush push. So, when you have a drive like that against the Eagles, it's not, okay, let's get a 3 and out. You have to get a 4 and out. And it has to be at least, you can't let them get, basically the Eagles start every drive. It's 1st and 8. 1st and 8. Because if they're not going to get, you have to make them, it has to be a 4th and 3 or a 4th and 4 for the Eagles to not get that first down. Because they're either going to push on 4th and 2 or more inside, or they're just going to go for it. And that's the brand of football that, them and the Lions play. I love that brand of football. I think it's the most exciting brand of football. I don't like seeing punting. I like seeing, teams go for it. It's just more exciting to me. But here's my take. I think the Eagles are going to go to the Super Bowl over the Lions. I do.
That's fair. They're playing better football right now.
The Eagles are the hottest team in the NFL by far. They've won 10 in a row now?
Yeah, this is now 10. They started 2-2.
2-2.
They were on Sirianni should be fired watch.
Yeah. So my Super Bowl right now is Bills Eagles. It is.
That would be fun.
I think that would be a really fun game to watch. Really fun game.
Let me just say this too. What the Steelers did good this game, not to shift back them, is we were talking on, I think it was Friday or whenever last time we did this, about how the Steelers will win or have a chance is stopping Saquon Barkley. And they did that. Saquon probably had his worst game of the season. Only had 19 carries, 65 yards, no touchdowns. His longest was 22, of course. But like Jalen Hurts has a longer run by 1 yard. That's how the Steelers beat the Ravens. They stopped Derrick Henry. So the Steelers have been the only defense to stop Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. I know Henry had the 1 yard touchdown,
got hurt
but
for a little bit. People thought that Saquon
he was out. Yeah, I think it was like the rest of the half or whatever. But he was in there for a while. I think it was after the 22-yard rush. But like still, that wasn't a good game from Saquon's perspective. You would say he's an MVP frontrunner. He's a guy looking like he could win OPOY and MVP right now. But Eagles, they look very good. Don't want to undermine it. Not going to blame the referees. Not going to do that, even though there were a lot of bad calls. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, Nevin said in the chat, doesn't really understand the Sirianni hate. I'll explain this from watching games when they were 2-2. It was kind of like they shouldn't be 2-2, and they're, Philly fans. They're like Yinzers. They're going to let it known when they're not happy. And there was the whole thing of Sirianni getting scuffles with fans on the sidelines. I think it was like popcorn or something he threw back, or like something threw pop in Tampa, which you shouldn't be throwing food at coaches. I don't care if you win or lose. You shouldn't be throwing anything on the field if you're a fan. You're allowed to be mad. But then there was the whole thing. He was like jarring at Jalen Carter against the Steelers this weekend. He just has that mentality of like, I don't know. He's not, I don't know how to explain. I don't know if you can explain it more, Danny, but it's like he has that unlikable mentality as one of the most unlikable coaches. And I get it from
I
a
mean,
Philly
yeah,
fan
he's
perspective, but
cringy.
like,
He does these stupid
yeah,
quotes. It's like I don't know. He's
he's
cringy.
done a lot in the past too, like to get under other teams' skins that ends up losing. And I listen, I'll bring this up too. There was the whole like
He's just corny. He's
the
corny.
security guard Italian guy, Big Dom.
Big Tom.
Oh my gosh, that guy makes me mad too. I was like, why are you on the field? You don't
I like
need.
Big Tom.
Oh, that was another big thing last year with Sirianni. But I think a lot of the hate came from them starting 2-2, and then Philly fans being like, "We are not a 2-2 team," which they aren't a 2-2 team. We've seen they've adjusted the heck out of that team, Danny. They won 10 in a row. And I really like your Super Bowl take, what you have there. I like how you said you think the Eagles are going to make the Super Bowl. I think they could. It's either them or Detroit.
Here's the thing. Dan Campbell is the reason that the Lions aren't 3-14 anymore, but he's also the reason they're never going to win a Super Bowl.
He's the reason they didn't make it last year. Made a bad decision.
Like punting to open the second half is stupid. It is. And you could talk that's the reason they lost that game.
Yeah. Is it a reason Dan Campbell could either be the reason they win the Super Bowl or they make he's gonna overcoach if they either make the Super Bowl or in a round before the Super Bowl. The Lions, their weakness, I like Dan Campbell, but their weakness at times can be overcoaching. They're very aggressive. I like the brand of football, I like it, but it scares me for the playoffs. I think they got to be smarter than I get going for it on fourth down. I think they went for it on like fourth and something against the Packers on their own side of the field. I think it was. It got a lot of like love from the fans, but I don't think I'm doing that in the playoffs.
No shot.
I get regular season. Maybe you're like practicing plays, but like the Packers are a good team. And when we redo our power rankings, I think next week we'll do it. Packers are going to be up there, especially with the Steelers loss, Packers win. I'm kind of jumping. I still am anti-Jordan Love, as you know, but I got to respect it. I got to respect how they're playing right now. But yeah, do you have any other games you want to discuss, or we want to jump to like playoff?
Not really. We can just kind of talk. We can recap a few games here. You let me know if you want to touch on this. All right. Chiefs, Browns. Chiefs win 21-7. Mahomes goes down with that injury. Nick Chubb out for the year with a injury. I personally think Nick Chubb's career is over. I mean,
sadly,
he came back from this gruesome leg injury, and he wasn't the same. The Nick Chubb that we knew last year, 2 years ago, was a top 3, top 5 running back in the National Football League. He comes back, he's just not the same.
Yeah,
he doesn't run the same. He doesn't have the explosiveness. It's just not the same Nick Chubb, and it sucks. He's a Steelers as a Steelers fan. I never want to see that, but now he broke his foot. I think that it's the Nick Chubb. It's done. But Mahomes gets hurt, gets an X-ray. The X-rays are negative, so he's good. He was a full participant at practice. So everyone who was happy that Mahomes got hurt, first of all, you're a sicko. Second of all, this is the type of stuff that is going to be in the Chiefs 3-peat documentary.
Yeah.
Bengals, Titans.
Don't really care.
Bengals letting up 27 points get the Titans is sickening. Yeah, gross.
They're still alive.
Will Levis got humbled in front of Giudice, so
he's done. Will Levis is done after this year.
Yeah, he's got to be. I think Kenny Pickett would start in Tennessee.
Mason Rudolph should be starting right now in Tennessee.
Mason Rudolph played horrible. Commanders, Saints. Jaden Daniels almost choked this game. I mean, they didn't do anything in the second half. The defense did choke as well, but just a gross game. Commanders should be better, I think. I think the Commanders are getting a little bit overrated now, where they're squeaking out some games. Ravens, Giants. People want to glaze Lamar. He had 5 touchdowns. Sure, he only had 290 yards. He had 4 incompletions and 5 touchdowns, but he did it against the Giants.
They should beat the Giants. That's a good win for the Ravens.
Whoop-de-doo. Nice.
Good win for the Ravens. They needed that.
You beat the Giants.
Yep.
9-5 against a 2-12 team. Cool. Cowboys beat the Panthers. I called that at least. I think you took Panthers.
I finally took the Panther bait.
This was my mortal lock, was Cowboys over Panthers. You make the Panthers favorite, no shot. No shot. They didn't have a chance in hell.
Yeah.
Jets over Jags.
Congrats, Jets. You got 4 wins. Woo!
How about this? The Jets played really good. Javonte Adams, 9 receptions for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Finally, I think Aaron Rodgers remembered, oh, yeah, I have Javonte Adams.
That's what they wanted when they traded him.
Yeah. And that's what they should be doing is Rodgers just saying, screw it, Adams is there somewhere, and, Adams is making the play. I think a crazy thing I saw was they threw the ball to Adams, and he thought he had his 100th touchdown, so everyone's celebrating, and then they call it back. They said he wasn't in. So then Rodgers was just like, all right, I'm just going to throw you just a fade in the end zone on the 1-yard line, and he just threw the fade to Adams. They scored the touchdown. That was just literally just, okay, guys, no one run a play. This ball's going to Tay, and I thought that was pretty cool. But Mac Jones he's just not good, man. I'll tell you what, he's not good, and he's bad. He's gross. I don't like seeing this Jags team sucks. I thought they were going to be way better than they are.
I did too.
I thought Trevor Lawrence was way better. Obviously, he's hurt, but they still got 11 losses, and those are all T-laws. The Dolphins-Texans. This game was a lot grosser than I thought it was going to be. Is Tyreek Hill done? Is he washed as a sand dollar? I mean, let's look at his stats. Tyreek Hill didn't do jack this game. He didn't do anything.
2 for 36.
I mean,
7
catches,
targets,
36 yards. Yeah, he was invisible this whole game. Horrible from Tyreek Hill. CJ Stroud looked below mid again. Tua looked mid.
Bad.
This game sucked to watch. The Dolphins needed to win this one. They'd lost, so they're done, I think. Colts-Broncos. Colts needed to win this game for their season to be alive, and they, folded. Jonathan Taylor fumbled on that 1-yard line. That was bad. That was really bad. It was embarrassing. Guys got to quit doing that. It is the most embarrassing thing you can do in football is, throw it back, pause in the end zone. But yeah, bad from Taylor. AR, just gross game. 172 yards for 2 interceptions. Come on, dude. I might be done on the AR believing wave. I might be done because he's playing bad.
It always sucks to give up on the one player you're really high on.
Yep.
You've been
Bills Lions. We already talked about this game. Steelers,
that
Eagles,
game carried Sunday.
Yep. Pats versus the Cardinals. Kyler Murray continues to be one of the most underrated players in the National Football League.
Big win for them.
Trey McBride, 87 yards, 9 catches, still does not have a touchdown on the year. Crazy. James Conner continues to be the most underrated running back in the National Football League with 16 carries, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and literally no one talks about him. Crazy. Buccaneers wallop the Chargers. Baker Mayfield, 288 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Mike Evans, 160 yards on 9 catches and 2 touchdowns. Bucs are good. I think that's a playoff team. I think that's a playoff team over the Broncos. I'll take Bucs all day. I like the Bucs. I like Mike Evans. I like that team. Packers, Seahawks. This is a really good game from the Packers standpoint. I'll tell you what. And it looked for a second that the Seahawks were going to kind of make a push to this game. No shot. Jordan Love, 230 yards, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Sam Howell came into this football game and looked like if I put on pads and decided I wanted to be a quarterback. Horrible. 5 for 14 with 1 interception. Pathetic. And yeah, Geno Smith got hurt, benched, and then they brought him back. It's Geno over. That Geno Smith experiment's done. They're 8-6. They could be a lot better with this roster. Zach Charbonnet had another really good game on 8 carries for 54 yards. But you need Kenneth Walker back. You need to throw the ball to DK Metcalf, who only had 3 catches for 28 yards. You need to start using your stars if you're Seattle.
Sorry to cut you off. But am I crazy, before I forget to say this, am I crazy for thinking Seattle could be on Justin Fields' radar?
No.
They were going to trade for him. They were a landing spot for Justin Fields. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because we've been bringing that up last couple episodes, I guess. But yeah.
Bears, Vikings. I mean, do we even want to talk about these jokes of a game? I do want to say something like this. Caleb Williams, dude, you're a bust. I told everyone in the beginning of the year, this guy sucked. Everyone was like, oh, he's going to be the next Mahomes. I said, what the hell did he do at USC? Literally nothing. He played against the Pac-12 after dark teams. Whoa. And he would run around. He would avoid sacks and then find a man open and throw it. Cool. That don't work in the NFL. It doesn't. He tried it like 6 times this game where he escapes the pocket and then he runs to his left and then he ducks a tackle against a 500-pound offensive lineman. Nice. You should be able to avoid them. And then he goes this way. And then he goes this way. And then he throws the ball like this. And he turns around and he's like this. And then it's picked off. You're not Mahomes. You're not on a team that can do that. Everyone talks about, Caleb Williams is the third most sacked quarterback ever in rookie history. It is not your offensive line's fault that you're getting sacked, dude. Now, obviously, there are some times where you are getting sacked and it's your offensive line's help. I think usually in most instances, it's the offensive line. If you watch the Bears, it is not the offensive line's fault. It is Caleb Williams holding on for the ball too long. When the pocket collapses, instead of throwing the ball to an open receiver or throwing the ball away, he tries to run backwards and then gets sacked for 15 yards. And then it's a 3rd and 20 and the drive's over. Caleb Williams I think he's just a cancer to this offense, man. He is not good. He hasn't made any explosive plays like everyone thought he was going to do. He doesn't use his legs enough. And when he does, he runs backwards and tries to run in circles. I hate Caleb Williams. He's a bum. He's flat out bad. I think he's going to be one of the biggest busts ever. I said this. No one agreed with me. So Caleb Williams, this might be the new pack watch of the week is Caleb Williams because Aaron Rodgers did pretty good. But I
like
Caleb
that rundown.
I don't like Caleb Williams.
Good rundown of the slate.
Yeah, that was our quick rundown.
Just ignore the Falcons Raiders. That doesn't deserve.
Not talking about that game. Could care less about Desmond Ridder, the Desmond Rizzler, and the Kirk Cousins, who is 112 yards. I could throw 112 yards.
So moving on. Going after all that, I want to talk about the playoffs right now, what it's looking like.
Yeah.
So AFC-wise, I have this up here. So it's Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Texans. They're all in. Your wild cards will be Baltimore, Denver, Chargers. The only other teams alive right now in the AFC are the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals. And I want you to hear me out here. Of all those, while you were saying all that, I was looking at the remaining schedules of the 6 and 8 teams. So playoff scenario-wise, if I'm doing the math right, if the Ravens beat the Steelers this weekend and if the Broncos win, the Ravens wouldn't clinch the division yet because they would be tied with the Steelers, okay? But they would clinch a playoff spot. If the Broncos win, they would as well clinch a playoff spot. I think if you are the Chargers, you're kind of scared right now. But actually, that's kind of crazy for me to say this. I think the team that should be more scared is the Broncos. I know they're 9-5. All they need is a win and you're in because you have 3 8-loss teams out of the playoffs. The worst you could go is 10-7 with that 10th win. You would be in. But I'm looking at the remaining schedule, and the Broncos could easily finish 9-8. They have the Chargers right behind them in the standings. They have the Bengals in the hunt in Cincinnati, and then home against the Chiefs. The Broncos are going to be tested, and I don't think they're for sure they're in. Then I'm looking at the 8, 9, 10. These are the 6 and 8 teams. I want you to answer this question. I'm going to read you their 3 games, what they have. Which of these 3 teams do you think has the easier route to the playoffs? So let's start with the Bengals. They're in 10th. They have Browns at home, Broncos at home, which is probably a big game for them. And then they have at the Steelers, which the Steelers, depending on what their situation is, maybe the Steelers are benching their guys. So that's the Bengals. Dolphins-wise, I think theirs is weird. Home against the Niners, at the Browns, at the Jets. Who the Jets, I think, beat them at earlier or whatever it was. Let's see here. No, the Dolphins beat the Jets, that is. So they're 1-0 against them. And then the Colts. This is my pick as the easiest schedule remaining. And when you hear this, you're probably going to say, "Oh, that team might just sneak in." You ready for this? Home against the Titans, at the Giants, home against the Jaguars.
They're going to lose 2 of those games.
You think they're going to lose to 2 of those 3?
Somehow. They'll lose to the Giants or something.
Here's the Chargers. Broncos, Patriots, Raiders. Patriots and Raiders are on the road to end the year. Broncos, they have let's see here. Like I said, Chargers, Bengals, home against the Chiefs. And then we all know the Ravens, they play the Steelers this weekend. They will be in. The Ravens have no chance of missing. Steelers, Texans, Browns. The easiest schedule of those 3 would easily be the Colts. But the Colts are going to underperform the heck out of those games, like you think. So do you think the playoffs stay as is, or is there a surprise like the Bengals, Dolphins?
Something's going to happen. I think the Bengals could easily get in.
And who's the team that blows it?
Colts or the
Well, the Colts aren't in. So which of those? So
Broncos got a tough schedule.
So you have 9-5 Denver. The Ravens we're assuming are in, barring something dramatic. We have the Broncos and Chargers being on the edge of being like, okay. And it's funny, the Broncos have the easier path because all they have to do is win this game, and they're in. They need one more win, and they're in no matter what. They would have that win number 10. And none of those teams aside the Chargers can hit win number 10. Mm-hmm. That is. The Broncos could finish 9-8. We could have a crazy little tie right there. And Broncos or Chargers have 0 tiebreakers over any of those teams right now. Broncos looking at that. Chargers right behind them on the road. At the Bengals right behind them on the road. And then the home against the Chiefs, the division winner. Mm-hmm. I think the Broncos might be in trouble.
Yeah.
I think the worst they could finish maybe be that 7 seed if the Chargers pass them up. But, like, I don't know. Do you think the Broncos win any of those 3 or they lose out?
I think the Broncos are going to lose to the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Unless the Chiefs are benching guys, but which I think they probably should. So I would like to see Bo Nix get in, but I don't know.
I don't know if they beat the Bengals. And that might be a hot take because I think the Bengals are better than they are.
True.
I think the Bengals might sneak in. I think the best case scenario is the Bengals have to win out. That would mean beating our Pittsburgh Steelers, which I think they could, especially if the Steelers bench all their guys because it's very rough to get the season split. And I think if the Steelers lose the Bengals, they might lose out the rest of the season personally because this gauntlet sucks for a Steelers fan perspective. Ravens on Saturday, which we might have a show Saturday night. We don't know yet because of scheduling stuff. Yeah. And then which the Steelers play on Saturday afternoon at 4:30, so that might be tough. But then you have the Chiefs on Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Steelers fans, that is. So that's going to be a fun little gauntlet. This 3 games in 10 days sucks. So, you know what? I kind of like, I think I'm with you. The Bengals have the best chance, and I think Denver should be the most scared. I think the Chargers will be in and the Ravens will. I think this is a test for Bo Nix, though. But other than that, moving to the NFC, Lions, Eagles, they're in. Bucks have the NFC South right now by 1 game. The Rams are now first place in the NFC West. How about that? I'm high on them. Vikings clinched. The Packers have somehow not clinched a playoff spot. They're 6th. And then it kind of gets messy now. The Commanders, I'm not high on them. I'm sorry to say it. I don't think they're going to make it. And that might be my hot take. Followed by them are the 8-6 Seahawks by 1 game. And then they have a 2-game lead over the Falcons and Cardinals. The Niners are somehow still alive at 6-8, along with the Cowboys. I don't think either of those teams make it. The Saints are still alive just because of their division scenario. They're 5-9. They won't make it. The Bears, Panthers, Giants, all eliminated. So sorry to all the Panthers fans. Your dreams were still alive last week. Cowboys ruined them.
Yep.
I think if there's a team that's worried, it is this Washington Commanders. Let's take a look at their schedule coming up because I'm curious. Ooh. You ready for this?
The Commanders?
Yeah, home against the Eagles.
Oh, it's a loss.
Home against the Falcons, who are right behind them.
It's a win.
At the Cowboys.
Win. So they're going to win 2 or 3.
I think the Falcons could be a big one because you know who's right behind them? The Falcons. Falcons need a win. They're going to need to wake up.
0%.
Cardinals right behind them. They're 7-7. I'm curious about what they have left. At Panthers, at Rams, home against 49ers. They're still in division talks to win it. Yeah. Seahawks, I know you're not really high on Geno Smith right now, but you picked them to win the division, I think it was.
I picked them to go to the NFC Championship.
They have home Lions. Against the Vikings, at the Bears, at the Rams. I think that game against the Rams determines maybe who makes the playoffs, who doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would like a world where they both make the playoffs. I just don't think the Commanders – I think the Steelers broke the Commanders. That might be a hot take. I think they did. Or it was when Jaden Daniels hurt his ribs and they're not letting him run the ball anymore because that was before the Steelers game. Their offense just hasn't been lighting it up ever since that Steelers loss. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think that's my team to be scared about if you're an NFC playoff watcher, I guess, to not make it.
Seahawks?
The Commanders.
Oh, Commanders, yeah.
I think they just exceeded expectations.
They did, and now they're falling off a cliff, which sucks because I really like Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. And it's furthering my Bo Nix for Rookie of the Year pick.
No, better not.
I should have bet money on him.
I'll see who the favorite is.
Oh, I don't care about who's the favorite. I care about how they're playing right now. Bo Nix is going to lead a team to the playoffs.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels could too.
That is fair. I don't know. Bo Nix has been, I think, better since the Jaden Daniels injury too.
Yeah, absolutely has.
Jaden Daniels hasn't been playing as good, but I've been preaching it on the show as we run out of time before we get the MVP like rewards. Maybe
Let's just go to awards right now.
yeah. I'll just say these Rams are
Oh,
a sleeper team. Everyone,
it's over.
I like them.
Awards. Get into it.
Yeah, MVP. You want to start with the big one?
MVP? Yeah, I mean, I think you got to go Josh Allen here.
Yeah,
A lot of people want to say Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen's doing these numbers, which are ridiculous. He's thrown for like 400 yards back-to-back weeks against playoff teams. Lamar's doing it against the Giants and teams like the Bengals who aren't winning. But, Josh Allen beat the Chiefs. The Ravens lost to the Chiefs. I think when you look at the resumes, next to each other and compare, I think you take Josh Allen all day.
I'm with you.
Just I don't think that's close. I think at this point, a lot of these picks, we're going to have the same picks because it's just not close.
Yeah.
It's not close.
Josh Allen's having a good year. We just praised him for like 20 minutes.
You have Josh Allen?
Yeah.
Nevin in the chat's a big Josh Allen fan. So
I don't know. I'm high on. I think it's his time to finally win one.
Yeah.
Personally.
You want to go Saquon Offensive Player of the Year. That's my pick. Honestly, I think that if Saquon, this is close. This is a close race. It's Saquon and Jamar Chase. I think if Saquon has a bad game, I think this is Jamar Chase's award maybe, but Saquon's going to have, I think, 2 bad games for it to be close. But I think Saquon's kind of got this wrapped up. How about you?
You know what worries me here if you're a Saquon believer to win it? It's all the touchdowns. If they care about touchdowns, which I don't think they should because this Philly offense has ran so many Jalen Hurts 1-yard touchdown rushes and has kind of robbed Saquon Barkley of all his touchdowns. He has 11. He's tied for 7th in the league. Jamar Chase has put up, 15. He's first. He leads the league in receiving yards, leads the league in receptions, leads the league in touchdowns. Wasn't that what Cooper Kupp did and he won the Triple Crown?
Yeah.
And he won Opoy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I'm high on Saquon. I think he's good. I think I might go different. Just for fun, I think I might go different here. I think the Steelers were able to figure out Saquon a bit. I know he got hurt. I think other teams will look to see what the Steelers were able to do, their scheme. And like you said, all Saquon needs to help Jamar Chase win the award is a couple rough games. I think the Commanders are going to test them. I think this is a big game coming up for the Commanders against the Eagles. The Commanders are going to want to prove themselves and be like, hey, we're going to make the playoffs. We're not going to be frauds. We're going to try to end this Eagles streak, not let them get 11 wins heading towards the playoffs in a row. But I think if there's any bright spot on this Bengals team, it's been Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Like Joe Burrow's still going to be in the MVP talk. I think what holds Burrow back is like he's 36 passing touchdowns. He leads the league in passing yards. He's almost at 4,000. He has 3,977. But he's not an MVP talk because his team isn't winning. I think there's a world where Joe Burrow could win the MVP. I'm just not picking him. But I think they might give an award to Jamar Chase. Just knowing the NFL awards. We saw Myles Garrett get a pity award last year. Yep. But I'm not calling the Opoy a pity award this year because Jamar Chase deserves it. He's just got screwed out of a Saquon Barkley having a master class this season. Yeah. But I think award voters could be like, I don't know. He doesn't have the touchdowns to prove it. And it's all going to come down to these Jalen Hurts tush-push plays. Maybe that's what gets rid of the tush-push finally in Philly. But yeah, that's just a little funny thing. But I don't really have a Depoy. I haven't really
Depoy is the closest one. So I'm looking at the odds right now. I'll the odds. Josh Allen's minus 900 to win MVP. Saquon Barkley's minus 500 to win MVP. Jaden Daniels is minus 5,000 to win Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
And then TJ Watt is minus 160. So that is the closest one out of any of them. And then there's D Rookie, but who cares what the D?
So TJ's the favorite?
TJ's the favorite. And then Pat Surtain is second. And then Nick Bonito.
Okay.
That's a crazy name for Penguins fans, Nick Bonito.
From Denver.
Yeah, from Denver.
He's having a good year.
Third. Will Anderson's in fourth at plus 1,400. So I think that's why because I have a future in. I have a future in that I put in September with TJ to win it, Jaden Daniels to win it, Saquon to win it, and Josh Allen to win it, which is going to happen. 5 to win $800, which would be nuts. But TJ, if he were to get hurt, like if he's hurt, then we're cooked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he needs to stay healthy for 3 more weeks, please, Deej, please, for me.
This is a tough one. Just because I think I
I'm going
picked
TJ.
TJ. I think I did pick TJ just because he wants that revenge. He's third in sacks. He's not having his greatest year, too. This is probably on TJ's standards for himself. If you were to ask him, this is probably one of his least favorite seasons he's had. And if you look at that, you're like, how? He has 6 forced fumbles, 11.5 sacks. I think he had a pick last year, maybe 2. He only has 38 solo tackles. If you look at the rankings, he's tied for 137th, which, I mean, he's not going to get a lot of tackles because he's like that edge rusher linebacker. He's going to get sacks. He's only tied for 3rd, but like it's the impact plays he's had. 1 forced fumble. He's allowed, well, it says 6, but he had 1 forced fumble against the Eagles, that is. He also has a couple fumble recoveries. He has 2 this year. I think he is going to win it, but I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't. But just because, like, I think in TJ's standards, this is not the season he wanted to have.
Yeah.
At all. We all know that. He broke the sack, or like tied the sack record a couple of years ago. This is a guy that by now, that time, had like 18 sacks. I don't think he's having his greatest year, but that's crazy to say he's not having a great year. And his, like, because we're spoiled as Steelers fans to be like, TJ Watt's had better seasons. I think we can all agree. But the way it's shaping up in the NFC, like AFC, well, I guess defensive player of the year because it's everyone. I think he's going to win it, but I wouldn't be shocked if he loses just because they might just be like, okay, it's not the TJ Watt we all know and love. Let's give it to someone new. Let's give it to one of these Broncos guys, something like that. And you know what? I wouldn't be mad at it because TJ already has his. I'll be mad when it happens, I guess. But like looking at it, TJ's had better seasons.
He's tied for 3rd in sacks behind Trey Henderson and Danielle Hunter. Nick Bonino is tied with him for 11.5. TJ's literally 1 sack away from being 1st in sacks. So,
but like from his standards, you can, like, if you ask TJ, he's probably thinking, I'm not having my best year, which it's sad that that's a thing because like he's still having a great season, but like I think he's underperforming what he's done in the past. I think he'll win it, but like he's gonna win. He's still good. I'm not saying he's been bad, but he's been one of the best players on the Steelers this year. But like we all have seen better, and I think he even knows he's seen better. Like Cam Hayward's had a great year. Like Cam Hayward from last year, for example, to this year has been a jump. TJ Watt, to make that jump, has to have like 50 more sacks in his opinion, or in Steelers fans' opinion, because we're spoiled. We're spoiled little brats when it comes to our defenses, like talent, I guess. Like I don't want to say he sucks, but it's like I'm not saying that. If you're rewatching this, I'm not saying TJ Watt doesn't deserve it, but if you're TJ Watt and you're like thinking about your stats, to put it this way, he's underperforming.
No
what
one
he's
else
done
in the NFL can wreck a game like TJ Watt. He's the defensive player of the year.
But I think I'm just saying on TJ's standards, I think he's not having as good as a year as he's had in the past. But it's still a great season, which is funny. It's very confusing to say, but I have it in my head what I mean. Is there a special teams player of the year award? Because I'm just giving it to Chris Boswell.
Yeah, they should do that. Special teams player there.
Chris Boswell MVP at this point.
I guess that's all we have for today.
Do we want to make a final prediction for college football very quick? Any upsets this weekend, just in case we don't do it?
I'll tell you who my winner is. Do you want to tell me who your winner is?
Of your bracket?
Of the whole damn thing.
I'm picking Oregon.
I'm picking the Ducks too, baby.
They look pretty good right now. Now, my team on upset watch is Penn State. Personally. Okay, Donald. I think Penn State's on upset alert.
Nope. Penn State's horrible. Joke.
Well, I mean, like, I think they're going to lose.
Horrible.
SMU's not that bad of a team. I know they're ACC, but like I've watched them play a lot this year, watching ACC football.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a rough environment for them. They have a time zone change. I don't know what the temperature is going to be difference-wise, from probably colder than what it is in Texas. But it's going to be a whiteout, but it's not going to have the same effect as a night game. It's going to be a 12 o'clock noon start. I'm just excited we're going to have college football now instead of having to wait for the first bowl games, New Year's. Army-Navy was good, but like I'm excited, man, for the college football playoffs. I think the team that's on upset alert is Penn State. Let me just pull up the bracket really quick because I just want to look at all these matchups really quick before we go. Let me see here. Come on, switch to. I need to find this. Let's see. Yeah, I think Penn State's in like kind of limbo. I think if they lose though, James Franklin needs to be tried for his crimes. Clemson, Texas. Texas wins. I think we already went through this. Ohio State, Tennessee is going to be game of the weekend, I think.
Yeah.
I think Oregon got the worst draw of all the buys. Like Arizona State Arizona State's going to get whooped by Clemson or Texas, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think Boise State's going to get beat by Penn State, but I think if they play SMU, Boise State could win.
Yeah.
I think if Georgia plays Notre Dame or Indiana, depending on Carson Beck's injury, I think Georgia will win that game. If Carson Beck is out, however, I think Notre Dame beats them. If Carson Beck is out and they play Indiana, I think Georgia still beats Indiana. But it all depends on Carson Beck. Oregon, however, has the biggest test of all. If they play Tennessee, it should be a pretty simple win, even though SEC football, like you said, it's different. It's good. I just think Tennessee is not on Oregon's level. But if they play Ohio State again, a team they only beat by 1, that's going to make for a possible winner of that game wins the national championship. That's practically what happened with the Michigan. I forget who they played last year, but it was the Michigan versus Bama game. Whoever won that game was winning the national championship that year. Because I forget who Michigan beat in the championship, but you know what I mean. Whoever won Michigan Bama in that Rose Bowl was going to win the Natty. And the Rose Bowl this year is probably going to be Ohio State, Oregon, unless Tennessee does something crazy. Penn State will probably, that's my upset pick, SMU over Penn State. Notre Dame, Indiana, Notre Dame.
We could even do a college football show Thursday if we wanted to.
We could just do college football. Yeah. We'll do it probably Thursday, 5 or 6.
Maybe. Get JJ back on the pod.
Screw it. I haven't met JJ yet. I watched it a little bit. Do it. Bring him on.
He's a fun guy. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll talk to him. But yeah, as of right now, we'll do
maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah, we'll do college football Thursday, and then 5 or 6, and then whatever.
We still got it.
If we want to do Saturday, we can do Saturday. But
we still got to go through all the bowls too. All the funny ones.
Yeah, you guys can do that. I don't know.
You can just provide your insight, being like, Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yeah.
Pop-Tart Bowl is going to have an actual toaster in it too.
That'd be lit.
On the actual trophy, it has a built-in toaster. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, it works? It's a functional?
Yeah, it's a working toaster.
That is sick.
Yeah, you'll have to find the video, but it's there somewhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, good episode today.
Yep.
But we'll be back Thursday now and maybe Saturday for NFL recap or whatever we're going to do. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Adios, everyone.